పశ్చాత్తాపం చేయడానికి అవకాశం ఇవ్వాలి కాబట్టి in our punishment system, in our legal system, punishments are not physical in nature. Similarly, when you talk about Constitution of India is one of the world's largest, lengthiest constitution, and which has taken elements from US, Ireland, UK, USSR. Okay, so various elements of our constitution also influences the social life. Political parties add lot of dynamism in our social setup. Similarly, pressure groups in every political system, there are different kinds of pressure groups, interest groups. There are also social movements which play a very, very important role in strengthening the political system. Now, for instance, if you talk about anti-Iraq movement, people who are from Telangana, or from that time we were United Andhra Pradesh. So if you talk about anti-Iraq movement led to formation of a policy where liquor was banned in United Andhra Pradesh by former Honorable Chief Minister N.T. Ramarao. So social movements can also play a very important role in formulation of laws and policies. So that is where again we see the connection between society and political system. Friends, if you have any concerns or doubts, you can ask me in the chat box. Also, you can unmute yourself also and ask. We have only Pratik with us right now. Okay. Then there is a strong connection between all social processes and also political processes. Like, what are political processes, especially the elections? Now you know very well that whenever elections are announced, the seats are announced on the basis of various caste, class, region, gender, background. Whether there is representation by various groups or not, all those things matter a lot with regard to political process of elections. Now, in this connection, industrial revolution is a very, very significant factor, because you must be wondering why this point of industrial revolution has come suddenly in political sociology. Because the nature of state underwent lot of change after industrial revolution. The nature of state before industrial revolution and the nature of state after industrial revolution, we see that there are many differences. And even after Second World War in early 1940s, many Asian, African, and American countries, they became independent, and that also impacted the political processes all over the world. And when you talk about political theories, like, though you must have heard the names of Max Weber, Emile Durkheim, Pareto, Wilfredo Pareto, and Ferdinand Tönnies, though they are considered as sociologists, but lot of their contribution is also connected with political aspects. For example, Max Weber, he has written extensively about bureaucracy. Bureaucracy is a very, very important element of a political system, indirect element of governance. Direct concept of state is bureaucracy. So Max Weber has written extensively about bureaucracy. Now, when you talk about scope of political sociology, in nature, what are we trying to understand? Nature lo mana focus deni meeda undante, actually adi science kaada. Political sociology ki మనం సైన్స్ చెప్పగలుగుతామా, అది ఒక సోషల్ సైన్స్ గా మనం భావించాలి. So basically, when you are saying science, it means systematic study. So political sociology is definitely a science, but it is a social science because it is connected strongly with the systematic study of political factors as well as social factors. When you talk about scope of political sociology, our attention is on, our focus is on what elements of political system are you studying? Scope basically means subject matter. So what all is included in subject matter of political sociology? The structure of the state, like how the state operates, how is the state structured to a great extent, whether it is having a democratic structure or whether it is having a aristocratic structure or whether it is having a republic structure. What is the structure of the state, and what kind of monopoly means single rule. Is the state having monopoly or it is a democratic system? Then various multiple elements of the state, subunits of the state, and the state, how are they connected with each other, whether individuals are participating in the political process or not, what is the kind of voting patterns which is existing, how public opinions are being developed among the people, what kind of propaganda is what kind of a kind of a negative publicity, what kind of propaganda is going on. Then in politics we also have organized groups like our political parties. Political sociology also tries to study what kind of political system is there, how authority and power is being used, and important structures of government like legislature, executive, and judiciary, even they are part of political sociology. What kind of leadership is there? Now, see, for example, if you talk about different chief ministers of United Andhra Pradesh or even chief minister of Telangana, Shri KCRG, or you talk about prime ministers of India, right from Jawaharlal Nehru to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru to our present PM, our Narendra Modi ji. So what kind of leadership styles have been there? For example, Atal Bihari Vajpayee had one kind of a leadership style. Narendra Modi has another kind of a leadership style. Manmohan Singh had other kind of a leadership style. So what kind of political leadership is there? Even that is very important element of political sociology. Then what is a political culture? In what kind of a political culture is the political system operating? Even that is studied in political sociology. And most important social element which influences political sociology, social stratification. Samajika starikaranam ఏ రకంగా ఉంది? Now you may wonder, how is social stratification connected with political sociology? So let me tell you, friends, I will just add here a few points so that you understand. Caste, class, and estate. These are considered as three different forms of your stratification system. So when you talk about Indian society, we see that caste is one of the significant factors on the basis of which society is stratified. And caste plays a very, very important role in political system and political processes of India. Now, when you talk about class is, which is economic factor, and even class is a very important element with regard to political sociology. And estate, it was not directly present in India at any point of time, but estate was part of Europe. And there are three estates: nobility, clergy, and the peasantry. So when you talk with specific reference to India, caste and class play a very, very important role in political system of India. You must have seen even recently when there was a cabinet expansion, all the media channels were trying to tell us that how people from different caste backgrounds and how many women are there, how many members from scheduled caste community, scheduled tribe community, backward class community, other backward class community, what is the representation from various caste groups, how many people have been made the ministers in the present government. So caste is a very, very important element in Indian political system, and politicization of caste is also taking place, which is also one of the important concerns as a political sociologist. Now, a big question arises that why is it, we should study political sociology. Political sociology importance in the Kundi. What are the factors because of which political sociology becomes important? So, third world development. See, most of the countries of the world, they come under third world societies, including India. Mana desham kuda third world society kinda vastundi kabatti, how development is taking place, what kind of challenges are there in the process of development, all those aspects also are. Then after 1990, especially with specific reference to India, because of the economic reforms, globalization became a part and parcel of Indian economic political system. So globalization also has influenced the political processes to a great extent. What kind of movements, what kind of revolutions are taking place? Even that is an important element in political sociology. Then what kind of social gaps, cleavages means gaps. Samajamlo vargalu madhya, groups madhya elanti gaps unnai. ఆ గ్యాప్స్ కారణాలు ఏంటి అవి కూడా పొలిటికల్ సోషియాలజీలో మనం చదువుతున్నాం. Then how, see, Indian state is a democratic state. Every 5 years elections are held. So what kind of changes is taking place in Indian democratic system? Even that is a very, very important element of political sociology. And what kind of economy is this? Now see, presently, if you see the present day India, 2021 India, if you see, there is element of mixed economy. India's economy is being, to a great extent, being called as a mixed economy with presence of both public sector and private sector. Public sector, which is more reflective of socialism, and private sector, which is more reflective of your capitalism. So what are the dynamics of democratic state and capitalist economy? Even that is part of political sociology. And definitely India is a welfare state, so we have to talk about its presence, how India is able to work as a welfare state. Even that is an important element in political sociology. These are various approaches with regard to political sociology. So what do you mean by approach? Approach is how are you seeing a particular phenomenon. ఏదైనా విషయానికి మనము ఏ రకంగా అర్థం చేసుకుంటున్నాము. How are we understanding a certain phenomenon or a certain process? So in all disciplines, you will have different kinds of approaches. For example, if you talk about sociology also, you have structural approach or structural perspective, functional perspective, conflict perspective is there. Similarly, in political sociology also, we have traditional approaches. So in traditional approaches, we are trying to understand the traditional form of governance, traditional form of how societies, they came together, what kind of a political system existed in ancient times, in traditional societies, how does political system operate. Philosophical approach, the focus is on how the state is functioning. What are the important features of the functioning of the state? How much is the role of citizenship in the process of governance and in the process of the state for that matter? What are the rights and duties of the people living in that particular state with a specific boundary with a specific territory. Then historical approach focuses on how historical factors, different factors, how they played a very important role in shaping up the state. That is also very important way to understand political sociology. And different political institutions, when you are trying to study different political institutions, then you are using an institutional approach. And in legal approach, we are trying to understand that state is the creator and enforcer of law. All the policies, if you see, all the legislations, if you see, they are created and they are enforced by the legal system. They are enforced by law. And very, very interesting approach is that of Marxist approach. See, Karl Marx played a very important role in understanding the mode of productions. Mode of production is what, dear friends? Mode of production is nothing but how society is producing its goods and services. And there are two very important elements of mode of production. One is the land and another one is the industries. So with the help of land, also goods are produced, because just because land is there, you are able to cultivate, you are able to do your farming. Similarly, industries are also important mode of production. With the help of industrial production, we are able to produce different goods to meet our requirements. So according to Karl Marx, mode of production is very strongly connected with concept of class. You may wonder how and why. How is mode of production connected with class? So Karl Marx makes it very simple. All the people who are the owners of means of production, they belong to one class, and all the people who are not the owners, they belong to another class. Aithe Karl Marx definition of class lo kuda mode of production is a very, very important factor. Then Karl Marx has written extensively about capitalism. In capitalism, is trying to tell us that it is completely based on profit motive, and capitalist class or the owners of the industries, they will always exploit the working class or the bourgeoisie class. I think political system, oka samajamlo unna political system, వర్గాలలో ఉన్న different groups ద్వారా decide అవుతుంది. He made it very clear that class stratification not only decides the social system of the society, it also decides the political system of the society. How and why? Let me explain you that. Karl Marx makes it very clear that people who are the owners of the factories or who are owners of industries which are different means of production, they belong to one class, and because they are economically powerful, they will also make sure that they are socially and politically powerful also. So your economic power is getting transited into you being socially and politically powerful. So in political sociology, Karl Marx theory is extremely significant, and how there is a constant conflict between the classes. Karl Marx has divided the entire human history into four main epochs, time periods, right? Then in that he says that during all the time periods, there have been different classes and there has always been conflict between the classes. But finally, after the capitalist stage is over, finally a stage will come where there are no classes. So he starts the four main epochs which I am telling you. They are primitive stage, ancient stage, feudal stage, capitalist stage. So in primitive stage, there will be no classes, right? In ancient stage, there are masters and slaves. In feudal stage, there are nobles and serfs. And in capitalist stage, there are capitalists or industrialists and workers, or bourgeoisie and the proletariat. Bourgeoisie is the capitalist class. They are the owners of the industries. Proletariats are the working class. So finally, in this capitalist stage also, so much of disturbance will be there, lot of exploitation of the working class will be there, and finally a stage will come there where there will be a huge revolution, and again society will enter into a communist state. I think Karl Marx థియరీలో పొలిటికల్ సోషాలజీ గురించి ఎంత డీటెయిల్డ్ అనాలిసిస్ ఉందంటే తను చాలా క్లియర్గా క్లాసెస్ అండ్ పొలిటికల్ సిస్టమ్ కి కనెక్ట్ చేయడానికి చాలా బ్రహ్మాండమైన ప్రయత్నం ఆయన చేశారు. He has made a wonderful attempt to understand that how economic classes can be instrumental with regard to deciding the political system. Similarly, when you talk about now Karl Marx and Max Weber, these are two very, very prominent thinkers in sociology, and we read about Karl Marx even in economics, even in history, even in public administration, even in political science. Similarly, Max Weber is also a very prominent sociologist whose works have been studied, whose works have been, elaborately understood in connection with political sociology. So what are those things? What are those contributions made by Max Weber which are critical, which play a very, very important role with regard to understanding the political aspect of society? So here he has given us the concept like ideal types. Ideal types is nothing but a kind of a mental construction. Mental construction means what? Usually we think, no, who is the ideal teacher? Who is the ideal student? What is the ideal government? Who is the ideal prime minister? So it is a kind of a mental construction. Weber's entire theory is based on social action. So social action is nothing but every activity done by an individual. That is why Weber defines sociology as study of interpretation of social action. It means what? Social action ki manamu ఏ రకంగా ఇంటర్ప్రెట్ చేస్తున్నాం అనేది, that is a very, very important aspect of sociology according to Weber. Rationalization means what kind of logic are you using to understand the day-to-day phenomenon. And Max Weber's very popular book, I will just type it here so that you understand. The Protestant Ethic and Spirit of Capitalism. Now you may wonder that what is this Protestant ethic and spirit of capitalism, which is one of the most popular writings of Max Weber, where he tries to bring out a clear-cut connection between religion and economy. He believes that all those countries where Protestantism as a religion existed, in all those countries, capitalism also developed. ఎక్కడెక్కడ ప్రొటెస్టెంటిజం ఉంది అలాంటి అన్ని దేశాల్లో క్యాపిటలిజం కూడా డెవలప్ అయింది. సో హీస్ ట్రైంగ్ టు, ఇన్ హిస్ పొలిటికల్ సోషాలజీ అప్రోచ్, ది కనెక్షన్ బిట్వీన్ రిలీజియన్ అండ్ ఎకానమీ is also very, very important. Similarly, He has written extensively about power, authority, and leadership and bureaucracy. That is what I was telling you. Now, what is bureaucracy, friends? Bureaucracy is a kind of system which, through which, it is a kind of a system through which we are trying to implement the government policies. Now, I will just take one more minute to explain you about this, because this is very important thing for us to understand, that bureaucracy is strongly connected with industrial revolution. You may wonder that how industrial revolution ki inka bureaucracy ki elanti connection undi. See, before industrial revolution, societies were very simple, they were very small in size. After industrial revolution took place, the people's ways of working underwent lot of change. Big industries started operating, and if you have to manage a big industry where 2,000, 3,000 people are working or 10,000 people are working, you require a particular system. No? You require a particular system which will help you to make policies for those people. You require a particular system which will help those policies to be implemented. So because industrial revolution took place and huge industries started operating after industrial revolution, you required a system to basically manage industries, and that system was called as bureaucracy. Bureaucracy basically means office, basically means a desk where you sit and work. So much later, after industrial revolution, we started adopting the word bureaucracy to basically explain a government setup, to explain that how government works, the different levels. And bureaucracy has very strong characteristics, and as students of political sociology, we should understand that. What is it? In bureaucracy, there is a hierarchy. Everything is based on written rules and regulations. You cannot do things on the basis of your own whims and fancies. Okay, so everything is based on rules and regulations. There is unity of command and authority. You have to report to somebody. Someone will give you orders. You will have to execute those orders. Everything is in the written form. Written documentation is very, very important aspect of bureaucracy. So if you see in today's time, all the entire network of civil services or central services and state services, they all are part of bureaucracy. So bureaucracy basically means entire network of officers or entire network of manpower, which is working on the basis of the policies of the government, implementing the policies of the government, monitoring the implementation. So far we were talking about traditional approach, institutional approach, Marxian approach, Weberian approach. Now, what is this behavioral approach? In behavioral approach, our focus is on studying the acts, attitudes, preferences, and expectations of a man in political context. In a political context, how one should think, what kind of attitude is required, what kind of things the person should give preference to, what are the expectations. All this is part of behavioral approach. Then structural functional approach was presented by Talcott Parsons. Here the focus is on what is the structure of the state and government and what are the functions performed by different levels of state and different levels of the government. How is the structure? It means what are the different parts and what are the functions played by different parts. Similarly, communication approach is also very, very critical approach where the focus is on how interactions or how communication takes place within a political scenario. So these are some of the important approaches in connection with political sociology. Now, when you talk about these three elements, political system, political process, and political socialization. So how is political system different from political process and political socialization? Today is a very sultry day, so a lot of thirst because of that. So in a political system, see, as students of sociology, we should be able to differentiate between two terms. One, structure, another system. So I will just introduce one slide here itself and tell you what I want to tell you. This we can use as our blackboard. So when I am talking what is structure, I'm so sorry. When I'm talking about what is structure, I'm telling you what are the parts. When I'm talking about what is system, I'm trying to talk about interrelationship between parts. Now see friends, when we talk about human body is both a structure as well as a system. Now you may wonder that why am I calling human body as a structure? Human body is a structure because we have different parts. You have brain, we have heart, we have liver, we have nervous system. I mean to say, we have kidney, we have liver, we have brain. All these are parts of the body. Now, all these parts of the body, they are interrelated with each other. Again, they don't exist in isolation. So whatever relationship is there between the parts, that is called as system. Structure ante parts ఏమేమి ఉన్నాయి కానీ సమాజంలో కానీ హ్యూమన్ బాడీలో కానీ అన్ని అంశాలు అన్ని పార్ట్స్ రిలేటెడ్ ఉంటాయి కదా, they are related with each other. So that interrelationship between parts is called as system. So when I'm talking about political structure and political system is nothing but integration of all the parts. Political system is the only system which can use legal force, which can use force on its citizens. No other system can use that. And there is both presence of formal and informal institutions. For example, government department is an example of formal institution in a political system, whereas a pressure group is an informal institution in a political system. There are, every part is interdependent on each other. Now, see, though we may say that state government and central government is different from each other, we know it very well that both central government and state government, they are interdependent on each other for various things at various level, at multiple dimensions. So whenever you're talking about a political system, it is definitely interdependent. There is a sense of comprehensiveness. Comprehensiveness means what? Everything is very fixed, very concrete, very sturdy for that matter, which helps in integration of society. Political system is willing to adapt to changes. Now see, for instance, India, we say that India is the world's largest democracy. But in India, was democracy existing from the beginning? No. Earlier we had aristocracy. Rajulu rule unde kada mundu. Rajulu rule to nunchi manam prajaswamyamki transit ayyam, manam shift ayyam. So under what circumstances did India move from aristocracy to democracy? How the political system adapted itself from aristocracy to democracy. So every political system, it adapts. Now see, for example, when I talk about coalition government, Earlier, we used to have one party government, but last, if you see, almost all 2 decades now, or 2.5 decades, if you see, we are seeing the presence of coalition governments. We are not seeing a government made by one single party. So even this is a kind of a change what we see in political system. And what kind of integrity is there? And broadly, there are 3 types of political system which we come across in the review of literature and also in different parts of the world. One is totalitarian system, where it is the state which controls and regulates everything. Totalitarian system. Oligarchic system is what? Ruled by few. For example, when you talk about tribal society, okay, in tribal societies, we will see that it is ruled by very few people. And democratic system, which is the most popular system all over the world, we see. So in democratic system, there is a proper type election. The different candidates from various political parties, they fight the election for getting the power so that they can serve the people or they can rule the country. Whatever word you would like to use, it is up to you, whether our politicians serve or whether our politicians rule. It is a matter of huge debate, and very interesting debates can happen on this. So when you see political system, they can be totalitarian, where the state is controlling and regulating everything. Oligarchic system, which is a system where only few people are ruling, which we usually find in very traditional societies where, council of elders, they would rule. Their decision was a final decision. So that is an oligarchic system. But democratic system is the most popularly accepted system all over the globe. In democratic system, there is a proper type political structure. There are several political parties who compete with each other to get into power. So democratic system is by and large one of the most popular forms of political system. This is the slide which I had introduced in between. So see, I was talking about political system, political process, and political socialization. So political process concept was basically given by Charles Tilly. He's a very well-known philosopher, British philosopher, and the structural processes of decision making. See, whenever government takes a decision, there is a particular, what should I say? It is a process. It is not a one-time event. So like, for example, if government comes out, when government came up with the decision of reservation for economically weaker sections, did government take that decision overnight? Did government decide without much thinking? No. There is a process of decision making. All the political decision making, it involves multiple agencies, multiple stakeholders, and multiple dimensions are there in a political decision making. You must have seen that just in the afternoon, the Honorable Chief Minister of Karnataka, Sri Yedurappa, he resigned. Now, do you think this is just a casual decision? No. There would have been some reason why the party would have asked him to resign. Now there will be another chief minister from the same political party. So there is a structural way of taking decisions. Political decisions are not taken haphazardly. Ishtamochinnattu impulsive ga political nirnayalu, political system, political parties, political state ఎప్పుడు తీసుకో. చాలా అది తెలుగులో చెప్తారు చూడండి, ఆచితూచి, వాట్ సోచ్ సమజ్కి, చాలా ఆలోచించి, after lot of thought, and that is why to ensure a deep level thinking, there is a process which has been established with regard to decision making. And if you see, But very important element of that process is whenever policies are being made, after its draft is ready, it is also circulated among the citizens of the country for the for the right kind of suggestions, inputs, additions, or deletions. Lawmaking is a very important element of political process. We know that elections is also very important element of political process. In fact, political process can be dynamic only because of elections. Now, if you see, for example, Jammu and Kashmir, example, if you take, my dear friends, for a long time, like Article 370, of course, was there, but for a long time, political process was stalled in that particular state because of intense terrorist activities in that particular state. Again, we have resumed elections there, and just even during the pandemic time, the panchayat elections have taken place. Now, after Article 370 has been abrogated, now, you must have heard, I'm going to put that word also on the slide, though that word is not connected with this particular slide. You must have heard about delimitation. Right now, delimitation process is going on, what you call as pariseman. So delimitation process, on the basis of that, the assembly seats will be decided, and this will take 1 more year's time. And after this, there will be fresh elections in Jammu and Kashmir. So elections is again the soul of democratic system. Anyone, just because I want to be chief minister or I want to be prime minister, I cannot be like that. I have to be elected through a democratic process. And various social movements connected with human rights, gender, corruption, environment, even they all are also part and parcel of your political process. There are also non-structural processes. Structural process means you have a clear, steps. We should do this, we should do that. Clear steps are there. Non-structural processes, it includes dissent, like you may not agree with certain policy. Certain elements try to influence a certain policy. కొంతమంది ఇన్ఫ్లుయెన్స్ చేసి పాలసీ ఇలాగే తయారవ్వాలని ఇన్ఫ్లుయెన్స్ చేయడానికి ప్రయత్నిస్తారు. There is lot of lobbying also which influences the political processes. Then the last slide for today's class. What is this political socialization? Socialization, you all know, you all must have studied that in your first year. What is this process of socialization? So it is nothing but process of acquiring beliefs, values, habits, all related to government, society, and politics. So there can be direct socialization, where directly you are being told, okay, this is my party, you have to join this party. If you join this party, what kind of ideology you will be following, what should be your value system. All these things are directly conveyed to the people who are joining the political parties. But socialization can also be indirect, which is also called as latent. Let me also tell you, because we are talking about manifest and latent. Robert Merton, you remember? Robert Merton gave us this concept of latent and manifest functions. So political processes also have latent functions as well as manifest functions. There is latent socialization, there is manifest socialization. And the important agents which can play a very crucial role in political socialization is your family. You must have seen, you all must, you all are quite enlightened, and I'm sure you all must be reading newspapers or watching television channels where we see that MLA's son wants to be an MP, MP's son wants to be the chief minister or a prime minister. So dynastic politics, what you call. So family is a very, very important agency of socialization. Your peer groups means same age group, Same age group people, ideals and ideology also may influence us with regard to certain political dimension. Educational institutions, secondary groups can include your membership into some organization, some organization which has a certain political motivation and political interest. Mass media, we all come to know about political aspects through mass media. Our chief minister and our prime minister will not come and directly tell you what is it that they are thinking or what is it that they are directly aspiring. So mass media is utilized as a very, very important element in political socialization. And of course, the most significant agent of political socialization are your political parties. Without the presence of political parties, political socialization cannot take place. So friends, given the limitation of time and given the limitation of classes, I'm only trying to cover the concrete concepts in your lessons. If you understand these concrete concepts also, you will be able to elaborate your answers. So in today's class, I tried to discuss about what is the meaning, nature, and scope of political sociology, which is of course a very, very important question. Then we also tried to understand the various approaches in connection with political sociology, and in which Marxian approach and Weberian approach are very, very critical. Karl Marx approach of political sociology is based on the concept of class conflict and mode of production. In Weberian approach, we try to understand about bureaucracy, social action. Then we also try to understand what do you mean by political system, what are different kinds of political processes, and what is political socialization. So I rest my class with this, friends. Now, since no students are available, and if you see this recorded video on YouTube, and if you have any questions also, you can revert back to me. You all have my mobile number, and my tomorrow's class is again from 3 o'clock. So tomorrow's class, we will try to discuss unit 4, 5, and 6 under block 2. So thank you all, friends, for I wouldn't thank you for attending the class, at least for listening to this video. Thank you so much.